we could have called it the COVID sessions, but it sounds more cool with Leviathan, I think.
There you go.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
Thomas, thank you so much for your time today. It is going to get very busy for you, if it's not already extremely busy. A new THERION album is always still an event in the world of metal. 19th full-length album. Obviously, I know that it's not your 19th album with this band, but you've been with this band for quite some time now.
Yeah, it's almost 16 years, I think.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So what, I mean, is it, let me start with a double question. Number one.
Whatever you want, yeah.
For you, releasing yet another album, is that like same old, or do you still get excited like a teenager when a new album comes out? And
no, it's still like having a third child, you know.
There you go. There you go. Well, I only have one myself. I don't know. There you go. Good to know. Good to know. I only have one kid so far. So,
okay.
Now, but do you guys sometimes take a step back and go like, it is? I mean, especially in today's world where people's attention spans are shorter than a sentence, the fact that people still get that there's still so much buzz for a new THERION album when it's album number 19. Does that like blow your mind in a way?
It does. It does. It blows my mind, and I keep reminding myself every day how fortunate I am. You know, I think that people that are in the same seat as me should do that every day, to maintain a sort of humbleness for the fact that I can travel around the world and have something called, I can say I have fans. Only that in itself is a cool thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely happy for it.
You know, as this album's about to come out, for many people, myself included, this is like the last album of the year that people are looking forward to. Like very little interesting albums are still going to be released, you know, second half of December. You know, like that is, people don't want to release an album anyway that late in the year. Anyway, it kind of feels fitting in a way for the epic finale of this trilogy, that it is sort of like, and this is the album that wraps up the year, you know? Is there, was there any plan with that, or is it just like a coincidence that this comes out at this time of year?
Yeah, it's a coincidence. Then we could have waited until January, but why not release it before Christmas? Somebody wants it for present, you know. But actually there was no plan of making a trilogy first.
Right.
We started to record what was going to be one album, or to write songs, I would say. Yeah. What was going to be one album, and exactly. Almost on the day when we started, COVID came. Right. There was nothing left to do than writing songs, you know, and order food from Burger King, you know. I'm only eating soup. It's so boring, you know. Yeah. Anyway, we started to write, me and Christopher, and I asked him, what kind of direction do you want to go with this album? And his answer was, it should be good. Oh. That's very exact, you know. And with that instruction, the material got very diverse. It got very different, and in no time it became a pile of songs, you know.
Right.
So we said to each other, we have way more than we can use. So Christopher came up with a brilliant idea of, let's not make one album, let's make them three, and call them Leviathan 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
And people often ask if there's some idea just with Leviathan, with the name. No. We could have called it the COVID sessions, but it sounds more cool with Leviathan, I think.
There you go. There you go. A little bit less time-stamped as well.
Yeah.
let's just go straight into something that you just say. You know, we wrote a bunch of material, but we also wrote a ton of diverse material. And I want to, you know, pause there for a second, because, I mean, THERION is a band that throughout the career has given us very diverse sounds, and the band has evolved musically and, you know, ebbed and flowed, if you will. But on these, you know, latest 3 albums, and this one in particular that's kind of come out, there is a lot of variety, and maybe more than ever before within the songs themselves. You know, like it back in, like in the early days, they were like, oh, this is a heavy THERION song, and this is the atmospheric song. But now I find that there's a lot of songs that really take us within the songs on a roller coaster, if you will. Do you agree with that?
Totally, or on a journey, whatever you want to call it. But that was what happened with these. We choose to put the more hit-orientated or commercial songs on number 1. Commercial in the sense of THERION. And the second one is a little bit darker, you know, in its atmosphere. And I think on this third one, those songs where we went bananas turned up, you know. It's more progressive, more experimental, more playful, and has influences from very strange things, you know. I remember, for example, one of the songs called Duende that is on the album. The TV was on in the living room, and I was sitting here trying to create something, and it was too loud. So I went to the living room to turn the volume down, and it was a program about flamenco, a documentary.
Okay.
So I stood there for a minute and watched it, and I was thinking, I wonder if I can incorporate some of that music into a rock or metal song. So I went in and wrote Duende with another lyric, though, but most of the pieces as it is now. And I was like, oh, this is funny. I send it to Christopher and see what he says. Maybe he will hate it, you know? But he was, I love this. Let's put it on the album. Who does this, you know? That's a part of what's so funny to write for THERION, because there are basically no rules, you know.
Right.
Me and Christopher both are great ABBA fans, for example, or Beatles fans, you know.
So, okay, a couple of questions then. First of all, you say like, oh, I saw a documentary about flamenco, and now I wanted to, you know, turn that into a rock song. That makes me think that there were other moments of inspirations that you were like, oh, this would be a crazy idea, but maybe it was a little too crazy. Was there a moment that you really tried to make something work and it just didn't happen? Yeah,
I tried to make reggaeton with a metal song, and I was voted out. But I still have it in my computer, and I might give it to somebody else, you know.
Well, I mean, hey, maybe you should talk to Nano War of Steel, who need a sequel to their Norwegian reggaeton. You mentioned the Beatles. Does that mean that you're a big Beatles fan? Does that mean that you loved or hated the Get Back documentary?
No, I actually didn't see it yet. Can you believe?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it yet, but I will. And I told that to my friend. He's on me every day, a friend of mine. You got to see that now. You got to see that now.
Yeah.
So I can't say anything about it.
Okay, okay. It's interesting because like a lot of people that I talk to, a lot of metal musicians are Beatles fans at heart, obviously, especially people that are a little bit more progressive, and half of them love it, and half of them hate it. You know, so it takes the magic away and all that kind of good stuff. But all right, let's get back on track here, because as we're talking about these different influences and trying or allowing yourself to let the song take you on a journey. The best example of that on the album is one of the songs that has already been released to the broader public with Twilight of the Gods. The impressive ending of the album. There's so many twists and turns, and yet it all fits together so well. And the performances of everybody involved on that song in particular are just next level. That came out really, really well. I think that for let's call it the modern THERION, that's going to be like a new defining song that people will talk about for a long time. When you were building that and that comes together, I know that doesn't happen just overnight. Did that feel special compared to some other things?
Well, I gotta give that special song is actually written only by Christopher. Okay. I think I arranged some backing vocals on that one, you know, and but it turned out very good.
Yeah.
And it was a bit complicated, not impossible, but complicated, complex, I would say. We recorded on in different countries, you know, because we couldn't travel. So I recorded all my pieces here. Plus, I did some backing vocals that I let other people sing, you know, singers from here, to blend up with my voice, you know, and so on. So it was a couple of tracks, I have to say. But yeah, I like that song too. And Mats Leven, who sings in the verses, does a tremendous job, you know. Oh, yeah. Like always. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you're already, I know that you guys are already working on some really big and important shows for you guys where you bring even a full symphonic orchestra, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But when you think about translating is maybe the right word, a song like that from such a massive production on record to a live setting, like what does that look like? Because that must be a pretty difficult puzzle to fix as well. I mean, you'll have to probably rely on some on-stage magic, but I mean, how do you go about doing that?
With a symphony orchestra and a choir, it's possible,
right?
But normally we don't have that.
Exactly.
So, and we can't afford to have that in every gig. We would be beggars probably, you know, after that. But you have to scale, you know, you have to redo it and build it around. Luckily, we have two musicians more in the band, the guitar player, Christian Vidal, and the bass player, who also can sing pretty good.
Right.
So we can add them to the vocals, you know. But of course, I mean, when you see THERION live, it's more pure rock than it is when you do it with the symphony orchestra, of course.
Now, okay, so let's talk about the symphonic, you know, this massive full orchestra show in Mexico that is coming up. Those are that's how THERION music has to come to life, really, let's be honest. And to your point, like if you could do it every show, I'm sure you would.
Of course.
Let's even forget about the resources or the funding required, just the level of planning, and also as a band, to a good amount of extent, giving away control to people that are directing the orchestra. And you know, you really have to live by the numbers. There's no let's do a little, you know, let's just jam for a little bit in between these songs.
No, symphony orchestra, they don't jam.
No, they do not. So what's that like for you? What's that like for you preparing for that show?
It's a lot, you know, and you have to also, like you said, you have to let go and let the orchestra pro take care of that, and let the responsibility be on him, and trust that he can do it, which it's great people, you know. So but it's a challenge. It's always a challenge when you fuse a rock band with the symphony orchestra, because there are different worlds that can marry very good together if you rehearse. And we will go there a little more than a week before to rehearsal with them. So I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
There's also a stage that I don't know how it will look like, really, you know. It's not only the music, it's the whole thing around it as well, you know. That's gonna be well rehearsed as well.
Knowing that your roots go back to the actual theater, and that you talk about, you know, it's more than just music. Is there is it a bucket list item, or is there a conversation in the band to take it to such a next level? Like, you know, here every year for the holidays in North America, we always see the Trans-Siberian Orchestra do these crazy shows with actors and special effects and what have you.
Right. I think I really like that stuff, you know. What we discussed in the band is to do someday, when we will have time to do it, I don't know. But someday do the beloved Antichrist on stage with actors and dancers and whatever, you know. Someday it will happen, but I cannot say when. Because now we're signed up for this year for touring the next year. You know, so.
For sure. It's gonna be a busy year. Before we wrap up with that, I just want to ask you one more question. You know, like THERION has been like one of those bands that in my own journey just has always been there. You know, like I'm turning 40 soon. Well, not soon, in a few months from now. So when I was a young teenager, that's kind of when THERION was really getting popular, like in the early 90s. And throughout those years, there was like almost like one thing that was sure as of I think 1996, that you guys were a nuclear blast band. There was a short break in the middle there. But forever and ever and ever, you guys were with Nuclear Blast, and obviously we all know that this new album is your first album with Napalm Records, who have had a fantastic, you know, explosion over the last few years, or should say decades. What makes Napalm today the right partner for you guys to release this important album?
I think that, you know, Christopher especially, because he's the one who takes care of all those business, and I'm happy that I'm not a part of that, you know. but as it seems to me, you know, it has been like a long, how can I say, good marriage between Nuclear Blast and THERION. But it felt like the right time for the band and to the record company Nuclear Blast to split up and try other ways, you know, to try something new. And so far, so good, I think. And I mean, there was no hard feelings in this split, as far as I know, you know. So it was like, you know, let's end this relationship now, but I still love you. Thank you for this time.
2024 is gonna be busy for you. You're gonna play
a ton
of shows.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
And then I assume somewhere, I mean, at the very last, before next holiday season, we'll have the live DVD of the full orchestra show. If not sooner. So what, I know some things have been announced already, but what could we keep as fans all over the world? What should we keep our eyes open for and our fingers crossed for the next year?
Well, you just said it, I think. First of all, I think you should look up when we are playing in your town. I don't know if we're gonna hit Canada, but I would love it. For me, it's holy ground since I'm a big hockey fan. It's Toronto Maple Leafs. That's my team. I would be very happy to if we would play Canada and United States as well, I would say. But it's very, very costly for the North America right now. So, but let's hope. Hope is the last thing that leaves humanity.
There you go. Yeah. And the tiny silver lining in that very dark cloud of such expensive tour costs and visas for the United States is that when European bands do it, it usually means they come back 2 or 3 times in 1 year to take advantage of all those costs that they've had to make anyway. So I'll keep my fingers crossed to see you on this side of the Atlantic, but I have a sneaking suspicion that I'll get to see you guys play on European soil many times as well in 2020.
Yeah, whenever you want, because after this show in Mexico, the plan is to do Europe, you know.
Exactly.
After that, we will do China as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's going to be our second tour in China, and it's very interesting. It's very cool. It's like coming to planet Mars, you know? But in a positive way. It's very different. Very different. You come to a restaurant, you know, and you get the menu, and everything is written in Mandarin and no pictures. So I go with that, you know, and you hope it's good.
Yeah, and then they just go like, sorry, that was just the description of our opening hours today. That's
exactly.
Not even... Well, Thomas, I know that was a little bit of a conversation that kind of went all over the place, but I feel like I could ask you a million more questions if we had more time. But I very much appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I'm super excited for this release to come out. And like I said, I'm positive I will see you play some shows next year, and I'll keep my fingers crossed for anything to be announced in North America as well. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.